Can I have 20 minutes? This is so good. Are you serious? My cat is trying to eat my charger. He's being the worst. But what if she did, you know? Like, what if she did? Dorian. Can you see through my top? Be honest. I'm so sorry. I want to be Selena when I grow up. No more barking at people outside. So cold. Oh my god, I look like I'm in jail. Help me, I'm in jail. Kitty, no! We finished it! It's finally time. Let me get some caffeine before I announce this. Even though you know what it is based on the title and the thumbnail, it's finally time to read Throne of Glass. So today is January 7th that I'm starting this. So we'll see how long it takes me to get through these books. I'm starting with the first 4 that I happen to own. I don't own the other 4, so if this goes well, I have to go buy 4 more books. But I am deciding to read The Assassin's Blade first instead of third. I know that's a controversial take depending on when you read The Assassin's Blade, but just based on what I've heard, I think it's the best choice for me and my reading preferences. I don't know how long this is gonna take. It might be a hot minute, so that's why I'm telling you it's January, but I'm so excited. My boyfriend is on the tandem read right now, and he is basically insisting that I read this series, so I'm finally getting to the series. Also very excited that I already own them, so I'm working off of my physical TBR as well, because my physical TBR is getting really out of hand, and I really need to shape up. I already have 1 spoiler for this book, unfortunately, because it's very hard to avoid spoilers for a series that's so old now. When did this book come out? Or the first one's Throne of Glass. So when did Throne of Glass come out? August 2nd, 2012. So it's been a while. It's very hard for the internet to keep a secret for a very beloved series. I do know who unfortunately dies in this book, and that's kind of heartbreaking, but I'm very excited. I don't know yet if I want to read them or listen to them. Right now I was able to snag a hold of this book on Libby, so maybe I'll do a little bit of both, a little immersive reading as well, because this is a really nice book. Like, it's very floppy. It looks like it's very easy to read, if that makes sense. If you love to read physical books, you know when you have a book that would be like a really easy book to hold and to read just based on the formatting and everything, because right now I'm currently reading The Secret History, and this book is not fun to read because the words are tiny, teeny tiny, teeny itty bitty, and the pages are like Bible thin. This is a 500-page book compared to this one, and this one is 420. This one is 550. 559. 100 more pages than this one because it's just Bible thin paper. And this one, it's just so well spaced. That's also why I love reading YA books, because the spacing is just so nice. Anyway, I've been rambling just because I am very excited, and I better not ramble anymore because God knows how long this video is gonna be with 4 books and all of my thoughts. So I will sign off here and we will get started on Assassin's Blade. Okay, I wanted to update a little bit because I have this habit of being like, oh, I'll update later, and then I finish the book and it's just whatever. I'm gonna say a few thoughts because I've started The Assassin's Blade. I'm also working on my 2026 reading journal and I'm super excited. So I just did this page, which is my entire physical TBR. Not all of it. I had to leave out a few books because there was no space. I'm super excited. I've been working on it. This is my 26 of 2026. I just have to write it in now. But I did stripes this year and it's so cute. Anyway, that's not the point of this video, but that's what I'm working on while I'm listening to the audiobook. My thoughts are, so far I'm glad that I chose to read this first, because for the first few hours I was like, what's going on? I just didn't really care that much. I would say that's pretty consistent throughout this book because you don't really know what's going on or like the purpose of it. You're slowly getting to learn more about Selena. I will say I'm excited to continue the series to see where it goes, because right now we're only following her little adventure adventures, and I'm just ready to have the story start. But I'm on the 4th novella, I believe. I don't know how I feel. Maybe I'm on the 3rd. I don't remember. I think they're fun, I think they're cool, but I don't really care, if that makes sense. They feel a little pointless. I'm just excited to continue. I don't know. I guess I don't really have that many thoughts. I like Selena. Selena. She's a badass. And I'm assuming that people like this series because of how it progresses. And I've heard that the books get better the farther you go in, so I'm hoping this isn't a hot take, and I'm hoping I'm not missing anything. If I could rate it right now, I would rate the first half like a 3.5 because it's not bad at all. I don't know. It hasn't grasped my attention yet. This is like the worst review ever. I feel like I just need to finish this and get past this and start the story. But right now, it also doesn't help that I finished Heated Rivalry, so I don't know how long it's gonna take me to finish the series. As of right now, Heated Rivalry is like the thing, and everyone's obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. I'm reposting all the edits. So right now, all I want to read is a hockey romance, and I just got the DC Stars series, so that's like where my head is at. I don't know if that's impacting the reading experience, but I think I'm also a little tired, so this is a terrible update, but I will review once I finish it. I really need to stop filming these at midnight. I need to just update in the morning like a normal person. Good night. See you tomorrow. Can you see through my shirt? Be honest. Good morning. I am freezing, so don't mind me. It is currently freezing in the Midwest, and my heater is struggling to keep up, so we're going to be buried in a comforter today. But as you saw, I started Throne of Glass, and I'm really liking it. It's cooking, but Assassin's Blade was kind of mid. It's kind of meh for me, but Throne of Glass is cooking. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it's so like perfectly paced with so much, I don't know how to describe it, with so many like interesting twists and turns. I wrote a few notes because I was also cooking on my puzzle. I was doing a puzzle the other day and listening to this book, and I fell in such a groove, and then I looked up and I was like, holy shit, I'm like halfway through the book already. Also, it's 8 degrees outside, but it feels like 1 because the wind is making it feel colder. And I'm sitting right next to the window, and I don't think our windows are the most insulated or sealed or whatever, so I'm just really cold. But I wrote down a few thoughts because I wanted to share with the class. I love Dorian. I think I'm going to be a Dorian girly, but on the other hand, I also don't know who to trust. You know, when you first start the book, I wasn't sure if I could trust Dorian. I wasn't sure if I could trust Kale. It's not Kale, it's Kale. I'm gonna pronounce it Kale. We meet them and I'm like, okay, you know, they have their very different personalities. Dorian's very flirty, very fun. He reminds me of Kai Azar a lot. If you've read the Powerless series, his flirtiness reminds me of Kai. And then Kale is like a totally different personality, very reserved, very to the book. He reminds me of Dane from Fourth Wing. If you've read either of those series, that's kind of the similar vibes. And while I was reading this book, I also, like, I have so many different thoughts. I'm getting on so many different sidetracks, but this reminds me so much of Hunger Games. It's really weird because they have these trials. It's more of a competition, not a deadly trial. People can just leave whenever they want. It's a competition for who's going to be the king's champion, and it's like a very high regarded position because you get to be the king's assassin or warrior or something, I don't remember, but it's very esteemed and people want it. But Selena, the main character, she was brought there by Dorian as like Dorian's kind of like person. What do they call it? Like Dorian's competitor, whatever. There's a word and I'm totally blanking, but different people of nobility, I believe, put different competitors in the game to see who would win, and she's basically Dorian's pick to win. So he's very invested in her winning and like making sure she's being taken care of and stuff like that. Same with Kale, because Kale like is besties with Dorian and they work together and stuff like that. But anyway, it reminds me a lot of the Hunger Games because at one point they have this arrow competition because they have different like tests, and one of them is arrows, and the way that she's talking and observing other people reminded me a lot of Katniss. So I can see how Sarah J Maas probably took inspiration from the Hunger Games, because the Hunger Games came out, I believe, way before this. When did Throne of Glass get published? Yes, so it would have been a few years after the Hunger Games, and I can kind of see the inspiration. I'm assuming that took place because I feel like at that time it was very hard not to know what the Hunger Games was about, but it sounded just like so similar to Katniss, and I feel like Katniss and Selena would be besties. But anyway, anyways, I'm really liking the games aspect and everything that's happening. I feel like I really gravitate towards fantasy books that are like this, you know, knowing that I love Hunger Games, knowing that I love Powerless, knowing that I love this book. I really gravitate towards specifically YA books with trials because there's just something about them. I love a YA fantasy. Maybe it's just because of the way that they're written, like they have to grab the attention of teenagers, and for some reason that just, you know, my brain just loves that. And I do still love adult fantasy, but there's just something about a YA fantasy that's just so engaging. So I'm having a really good time. But again, back to my original point, I don't know who to trust. You get introduced to so many new characters and I'm like, okay, you're cool, you seem cool, but can you be cool? Because there's always at least one person that betrays the main character in a fantasy book, so I'm trying to figure out who it is. And there's the obvious villains, there's the obvious enemies, so I'm like, is it gonna be them? Is it gonna be somebody else? So I'm trying to like suss everybody out, but I'm having a really good time. I don't mind trying to do the legwork of like trying to figure out who's trustworthy and who's not, because I think that makes it more fun, and because you just have to blindly trust them just like the main character. So you're kind of with the main character. I like when the story brings you in and you are trying to determine who's trustworthy and who's not alongside the main character as it's happening. Where my boyfriend's the opposite. If he's reading a book that he knows I've read, he will ask me who's trustworthy and who's not. I'm like, no, you have to read it. You have to figure it out with the main character. Anyway, I also love how she calls everyone morons. I just love her attitude so much, and I think that it helps that I've been listening to the audiobook, because the way that the narrator portrays her personality is so cute and so fun, and the way that she even just says morons, like, it just brings out so much of her personality that I absolutely love. And I also love that the author gave her not only so much personality, but so much other substance to Selena. It's mentioned that she likes books, and Dorian gets her a bunch of these books that she likes to read in her free time, and she has multiple scenes where she's falling asleep while reading her books and people find her asleep with her books wide open. And then later in the book she talks about, or she starts playing piano. So I love that she's this brutal assassin, but then she's also funny, and then she also loves books and she loves music, and there's so much more to her personality and to her. And then you also see her being so generous and caring to friends, like her princess friend. I really like their friendship. They both just don't give a fuck about anything. They're just in their own little world. I think it's really interesting, and I love when an author gives the main character, especially if the main character is a woman, I like when they give them more personality than just bland, I'm a little girl, I'm a ditzy little girl, or I'm a badass girl. Like, you can be badass and like other things. You can be badass and still love delicate things about femininity. I like when characters are multidimensional like that. I don't think it should be like all or nothing. I don't think they have to be one of the boys to be an assassin, and I don't think they have to be dainty and precious to be a woman. Like, you can be all the things. So I like that. Anyway, I don't think I summarized what this book is about. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you love this series and you love watching people read it for the first time, because I do the same thing. If I see that someone's reading my favorite series for the first time, I love watching that content and seeing them go through all the emotions that I went through. But in case you don't know, the Throne of Glass series is an 8-book series, and this vlog we're only doing the first 4. There's multiple different reading orders, so I decided to read the novellas first, which is the book that we just read. This book is the technical first book, but in different reading orders. Like the one that I chose, it's the second book. So this is the first official start of the series. Selena has been in this enslavement prison. I think they call it a death camp. She got sent there because of events in Assassin's Blade, so that's kind of why people decide to read Assassin's Blade first, but the publication order has it third. I'm so far glad that I read it first, because I understand what's going on, because even in this book, the things that happen in Assassin's Blade are brought up so many times, and I'm glad that I understand the nuance and the emotions that she's experiencing and why she behaves certain ways. I would much prefer to know that going into this book, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people read it third and kind of have flashbacks, basically. In this book, she's in the death camp, and then I don't remember how Dorian finds her actually, but Dorian kind of nabs her and puts her in this competition where she can earn her freedom. So if she wins this competition, then she works for the king for 4 years, I believe, 4 to 5 years, and then she earns her freedom. It's either that or she stays in the death camp and eventually dies. I don't know if she said it or if another character said it, but they don't think she would last another year. Even now, her surviving her first year is a big deal. She is competing in this competition. They have, I think, around 20 other competitors, and they they have these weekly tests. A few people die, so it's kind of similar, not similar to other fantasy books. It's its own kind of breed. They can decide to leave if they want to, or they could possibly die during the competition, so it's not necessarily like a deadly trial, but it can obviously happen when you're competing against other people. So in this competition, they have some assassins, they have some thieves, they have some brutes, a bunch of different like kinds of people, and they're all going through these competitions. They all have their own past and they all have their own reasons for wanting to be the king's warrior or assassin, whatever it is, the king's champion. So it's been really interesting and it's been so fun, and I really like it. This one goes way more in depth about her personality and who she is as a person, and you get a lot more substance. So now that that's happening, I'm a really big fan. So I've been talking your ear off. I'm going to get back to it and not make this segment super duper long, but I'm having a good time. I think that this is a really good series, and I understand now why everyone absolutely loves it and won't shut up about it. So I'm going to get back to reading, maybe make myself a snack, maybe continue my second puzzle of the week. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and get back to reading. So I'll see you guys later.
Son of a harlot.
Men will always be men. Oh, I saw that coming a mile away. Not really, but I'm not surprised. Let me just say, I also love when girls in books, specifically fantasy girls, have a little pet, because Selena has this little dog that Dorian gave her and she named it Fleetfoot, and it's reminding me of when I read Quicksilver and she got Onyx, the little white fox. I love when the fantasy girls have a little pet, because in a fantasy book it doesn't necessarily fit like it would a contemporary romance or a literary fiction, so it's so much cuter, especially when it's just like a random whimsical creature. Hi kitty. But this one, Dorian has all these dogs. I don't know if Dorian breeds dogs. Yeah, he does breed dogs. Or I don't know how involved he is, if he does it himself, but he has the kennels and he like has these dogs, and he gave her a little puppy and she named it Fleetfoot, and it's just so cute when they have like little pets. Also, what I forgot to say earlier is that I was talking to my boyfriend about how I kind of know the names of everybody. I haven't read any of Sarah J Maas's books before this, but they're so popular that I obviously know some of the main characters, so I knew the names like Manon, Dorian, Kale, Rowan, Aelin is like the main girl or something, so I knew that they were gonna come up eventually. When I started the book, it started with Selena, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. That being said, I knew the characters, but I didn't really know who ended up with who. At least for this series, for ACOTAR, I know who the couples are, at least the main two couples, but for this one, I didn't really know who was coupled up. Throughout this book, there's kind of this love triangle aspect, and it seems like Dorian is definitely in the lead, but then there's little moments with Kale where he's almost like yearning or pining after her, and I just feel so bad because I'm definitely on team Dorian and I think that's who she ends up with, but there's these like little moments you can see that he kind of has a crush on her, but he knows that she likes Dorian, so it makes me feel bad. But it's really interesting to see the couples form, because I know that everyone ends up with somebody, but again, I don't know who with who, and it could change maybe. It's an 8-book series, so there's a potential that it could change, people could break up, anything could happen, so we'll see. But that was just something that I forgot to note earlier, that this like love triangle is breaking my heart for Kale, because he seems so quiet and reserved, but he seems so sweet, and he seems like he would protect her if the moment came, so he's just really sweet. And I like him. I don't know who he ends up with though. I hope he ends up with someone good. Guys, this is so good. Are you serious? I take back what I just said earlier about Dorian being endgame. Now I don't know. Who knows who's gonna be endgame? Who knows who anyone is gonna end up with? I don't know. This is 4.5. Let me get that out of the way first. 4.5. I loved this. I wouldn't say it's like, oh my god, 5-star, but 4.5. It's really solid. It's really good. And it's only the beginning. It's only up from here. Wow. Okay. You guys are kind of spitting. Let me read you some of my things that I took notes on. First of all, oh my god. First of all, Kale's reaction to her period. Oh, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. He was like, yeah, I know, it makes me sick to my stomach too. And then she literally puked and he's like, oh, you're sick. Yeah. She's like, yeah, Kale. Yeah, I am sick. Anyway, and then Dorian walks in and is like, so you're fine, right? So you want to play a game? Like, you want to play a game? I think you're fine. So then Dorian sees that Selena has like a smutty kind of book and he's like, what is this? Oh my god, what is this? And she's like, I knew you'd just be like Kale. And he said, Kale? Let me look at this. And he gets like, it's always like this little competition. And it was so cute and so funny. Oh my god. That was amazing. Dorian is hilarious, but then towards the end I started to feel bad for him because you know why at the end of the book, you know why. I just feel kind of bad and I'm like, ugh, like I'm like, Selena, why? But then I also get it. Like I get it. It's just one of those instances where, why, my girl, are you doing that? But also I get why you're doing it. I totally get why you're doing it. And also just feeling bad for Kale again because there's like some pining back and forth, but then towards the end they seem to be cool and then like you just don't know what happens. So now I feel like they're back to being equal because of what he did for her. So now I feel like who knows what's gonna happen, you know? It's hard to keep the spoiler free but also explain why I'm feeling the way that I am. Also, you guys, I freaking called the spoiler at the end of Crown of Midnight. So for context, I was talking to my boyfriend because in this book, she has this princess friend that's from a different kingdom who has, her kingdom's been taken over and her friend is a princess of that kingdom. She comes here, they meet and they're like chatting and talking and whatever, they're becoming friends. And this princess gives her a name because it's like an honor in her kingdom to be like given a name, like a special name. So then she says what the special name is and then I'm like, oh my god, wow, that kind of sounds similar to something else. And then I asked my boyfriend, I'm like, are those two things the same thing? And he's like, what? He's up to Tower of Dawn right now. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, those two are the same, like they mean the same thing, right? Like, are they the same thing? And he's like, because he cannot lie. He is the worst at keeping secrets. Every time he buys me a gift for my birthday or for Christmas, he tells me immediately what it is. He cannot keep things from me, which lovely for me, like lovely for our relationship. But when I asked him that, all he said is, I can't lie to you. And I was like, I fucking knew it. And then I'm like, when do they find out in the book? And he said, at the end of Crown of Midnight. So I was like, I freaking called it. And he's like, they're not even that close. I'm like, but they are. I just had this feeling because I knew the main people. This will only make sense if you have read the books. I knew the main people of the book and I knew that this one person was like a main character. So I'm like, where are they? Where is this main character of this book? And then I was like, that would make so much sense if that is the same. That would make way more sense. So then the fact that the name that the friend gave her is somewhat similar, I was like, that has to be what it is. I'm just thinking 10 steps ahead and I'm so proud of myself because that rarely happens to me. Usually I put my brain on pause and just kind of read along and like enjoy it. I'm not really someone who actively tries to guess the plot of a book or guess the surprise. So I was really proud of myself but also upset with myself because that won't be revealed until the end of the next book. So I'm like, ugh. But also I was so jazzed because that never happens to me ever. So I'm very excited. I'm very proud of myself. I don't know if I have any more thoughts. Okay, let me get back to this book specifically. Those are kind of all my thoughts. Let me get to my review because I thought this one was so good. It had such great pacing, such great stories, but also emotional vulnerability from all of the characters. So you meet all these different characters and you learn more about each of their emotions and vulnerabilities and personalities and all these things. And then there's these games. I'm doing a terrible job reviewing this. Earlier today I watched a YouTube video about how people in the book space don't give great reviews and now I'm like overthinking my reviews too much. So we begin this book with her going into these trials, these trainings. So she starts off training a bunch and she's working with a bunch of different people and then slowly people start getting eliminated from this trial. Throughout that, you also get the behind the scenes of the trials and her getting to know Kale and Dorian and her princess friend. I keep forgetting her name. It's something unique, so I'm calling her princess friend. Anyway, But as I said earlier, I like that you get to see such vulnerable sides of Selena. You don't always get to see the vulnerable sides of a female main character in a fantasy book. If she's like a really strong character, you don't always get to see the character flushed out in this way, which I feel like this is a good example of a flushed out main character, because you get to see everything that goes into the decisions that she makes and that she deeply cares about people. She's in this very ruthless job where she assassinates people and takes their lives, and that's very brutal and gruesome to deal with, especially she's like 18, I think. She's like 16 to 18 when she starts working as an assassin. She's a teenage girl working as this cutthroat assassin. She has this reputation as being the best in the world, and anyone who hears her name knows how crazy she is. Not like crazy, but how like ruthless she is. Like her name invokes fear is kind of what I'm trying to say. So she has this big reputation, but also she's this girl. Like she's just a girl. She's just a girl. But also she's just a girl on the inside who loves piano and loves books and loves animals. Dorian gives her a dog and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. She cares deeply for others. Like this princess friend that she met not too long ago, she still deeply cares for and trusts and wants the best things for her. And then even Kale, towards the end, someone threatens him and she's like, I can't let this happen. I can't let anything happen to Kale. And the fact that she deeply cares for people just because she sees the good in them is amazing. And I like that the author did that, because then you get to really care about her as a character and you can't just write her off as this like assassin or whatever. You deeply get to know her and want good things for her because you know at her heart she's a good person. I keep just like playing with my book. I keep just like throwing it around and going like this. I really liked it. I love all the side characters so far. There's this one girl in there. What's her name? You know what's hilarious is, what's her name? I forgot. It's the girl that has a crush on Dorian. What's her name? Caltaine. I pictured her as the girl from Wednesday for some reason. I don't know if anyone else does this, but when I'm reading a book, sometimes it's not even a specific descriptor, because sometimes I'll picture something that has nothing to do with how they're described. For some reason, I always think the girl is blonde. I always picture the guy with brown hair. Don't know why. I don't know if that's just me being like self-centered and just picturing someone who looks like me, but oh my god, my Pookie's calling. Hold please. What was I saying? Anyway, I love this book. I am so excited to start Crown of Midnight. I'm probably gonna start it either tonight or tomorrow morning. I kind of want to let it sit. This is something that I usually do, especially after a fantasy book. I need to let it sit for a little bit. I need to digest everything. I don't love going straight into the next book like minutes after finishing a book. I usually let it sit for at least a few hours, if not a day, or at least like a half a day. If I finished it at night, I'll let it sit and then start the book in the afternoon on the next day. That's kind of what I'm gonna do, but so far this series is really good. I really enjoy it, and I feel like her writing is really good, so I understand why she's such a popular author and why this is a really popular series specifically. I'm gonna quit babbling. Loving the book, loving the series, so excited to start the next one. Good morning. It is the next day. We have started Crown of Midnight. I genuinely don't know the last time I updated you, but we are cooking and we are getting through Crown of Midnight. I am honestly so proud of myself that we are going through these books so quickly. I wasn't really sure how I would feel about the series and if I would want to split it up between other genres, because sometimes... Hi. Do you guys see this? Do you see this? Do you see this baby on the bed? It's a baby. He's embarrassed. But as I was saying, that sometimes when you read so many fantasy books back to back that you just get sick of it and you need something else like a romance or a thriller or whatever. But this series, I feel like, is a really good series because you can read them all back to back and you don't get overwhelmed. You're so busy being engrossed in the story that you're not really worried about being overwhelmed by fantasies. So I've been having a really good time with it. We are, let me see, we are 62 52% through. I have the audiobook on a Libby hold and it expires tomorrow, I think, so I really want to finish this book. I would prefer to finish it today because today is January 31st, so I could include it in my January reads, and it's just like really refreshing when I can just finish a book and then start new the next month. Hoping that we can do that, and then all we have left is Heir of Fire, and that hold is already ready. I just love having an audiobook on hold in case I want to craft or play games and I can still read the book. Ranger, you're so cute. Ranger just got groomed the other day and he is so soft. Oh, he is so soft and I just love petting him. He's such a good boy. But as for the book, because I don't really know if I updated you at all, some shit is going down. Serious things are happening. I can't really say much because it is a series, the second book in a series. I try not to talk about series too much because it basically spoils any book that came before them. But in this book, I will say that shit hit the fan and she attacked Kale. And I won't say who she is, but if you know, you know. She attacked Kale, and that's like a huge point in the book because I had the audiobook playing while I was doing dishes, and my boyfriend, who is on the tandem read right now, heard her say like, I don't want to see him ever again, and he's like, oh shit, that's where you are, like, you know if you know. So we're at that point. Things are going crazy. I don't know how we get out of this, to be honest, and I can't believe this is already like, this is only the second book and shit is already hitting the fan. People are dying, life is in chaos. So I hope it all works out for everyone, but as I said, I already know the spoiler at the end of this book because I guessed it in the last one. Ow! Can you not paw me right now? I know you just want all the attention because you're just a big baby. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. I'm really excited to finish the series. I also uploaded 2 other videos while filming this one. I uploaded a video going to Free Little Libraries, and then today I uploaded my reading journal, which is so exciting. This is my first ever flip through of a reading journal because in 2025 I've made my first ever reading journal, and then I showed you what I'm doing for my 2026 reading journal. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really enjoying the series, but I am also ready to take a break. I think I'm going to probably take a little bit of a hiatus after Heir of Fire, not from YouTube, but just from this series. Like, I don't think I'm gonna post Reading Throne of Glass Part 1 and then Part 2 right after. I think I might take like a month to read other books that I want to get to. There's a few winter books that I want to read before the snow is gone, and a few other things that I think would just be good palate cleansers. After Heir of Fire, I've heard that the series really picks up and the books just keep getting bigger, so I just want to take a little break and we'll see what we get up to then, and then I will post the second part finishing the series as well. I feel like now I also have to read ACOTAR, because if you don't know me and this is the first video you're ever watching of mine because you love Throne of Glass, I haven't read any of Sarah J Maas's books except for this series. This is my first series of hers. I've been told to read ACOTAR first, but I was bullied by my boyfriend to read this series because he loves it, so I decided to read this series first. I do own ACOTAR, so I fully can go into that series next. He even bought it for me. My boyfriend bought it for me like 2 Christmases ago, and I just haven't had the urge to pick it up. I feel like when things are just talked about so often, I then get bored of it because I hear about it so much that I feel like I don't need to. Anyway, what I really want to read is Crescent City because I love an urban fantasy, but I know that I have to read ACOTAR first, so I might take you on the journey with that as well because I just really want to read Crescent City. But that's like the last of the 3 series that you can read. I've heard that Throne of Glass and ACOTAR you can kind of interchange depending on your preferences, but you have to read ACOTAR and then Crescent City. So I'm just waiting for that. I feel like I might power through ACOTAR just to get to Crescent City, but I might have my boyfriend read it first because he has read ACOTAR and he is almost done with Throne of Glass, so then he can read Crescent City and say if he likes it, but he doesn't really love an urban fantasy like I do, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna stop blabbing and get back into Crown of Midnight because I would again love to finish it today, and then we can start Heir of Fire really soon. My baby, my baby. He's so sick of me. But look, he's so pretty with his little bandana from being groomed. Okay, I'll leave you alone now. You see that look? That's the leave me alone look. She is that bitch. Selena is that bitch. Oh my god. She is that bitch. That's hilarious. This is hilarious. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. I want to be Selena when I grow up. I want to have that confidence. Am I toxic for kind of hoping that she fools around with Dorian? I know it's toxic. I already know the answer. She's mad at Kale. The toxic part of me wants her to flirt with Dorian and make Kale jealous. But I know that's bad. I know that's bad of me. I know that's bad. She shouldn't do that. But what if she did? You know? Like, what if she did? Anyway. I love Dorian though. Kale's good too, but I love Dorian and I wish they ended up together anyway. This damn dog better be okay. Fleetfoot better be okay. I swear to God, if he's not okay, I'm gonna freak out. He better be good, right? He better be good. I love you so much. Okay. The boys are fighting. Oh no. This love triangle is killing me. It is killing me. She's not really with anybody, but it's killing me. I love them both. I love Dorian more, but I love them both.
That was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas. Read by Elizabeth Evans.
That was crazy. I knew it was coming, but it's still so crazy. I love that ending. I wish I didn't guess it. That was just a random guess. It really doesn't make any sense that I would know that, other than the fact that I know that that character is like a big part of the series that everyone talks about. Oh, I wish I didn't guess that. This is why I don't usually guess things, because it ruins the experience when you finally find out what it is. That was so good. This is a 4-star. I believe I'm gonna rate it a 4-star. I think I enjoyed Throne of Glass just a little bit more, maybe because there was more like setup, world building, but still a 4-star overall. I liked going more in depth with all the characters and seeing all of these different like monsters and animals and things. I love a good fantasy creature, and this one had a lot, but then it also had a lot of world building in the sense that we're learning more about what she's gonna have to tackle throughout the entire series. There's all of these portals and all of these secret things going on that we're finally figuring out. We're finally figuring out who has powers and who is Fae and who's not Fae, who has like abilities that we didn't know before. There was like a witch at one point, so you're getting all of these magical creatures that are like really fun to know about, and we're now figuring out more of the like lands, and I'm wondering if there's a map. Yes, there is a map. I don't know why I would have doubted that there's a map, but we're finally going into the different lands. So at the end of the book, she is being shipped off to another area to do something. Don't want to say what, but we're finally going and exploring new areas that we haven't before, and I really enjoyed that. I think the writing is really solid. It's really easy to follow along with. I don't know if this is considered young adult or new adult. I'm not really sure, because in a bookstore it's housed in the adult section, in the fantasy section, so I'm assuming that it's new adult because it's not in the YA section, but the character does start out being 16. I think she's 16 in the first few books. This one, I think she's 18, I want to say. I don't really remember, but she's 17 or 18. She's still very young, but so far I really enjoy Sarah J Maas's writing. It is so easy to follow along with. Even during moments where I don't really care about the story that much, it still grips me and brings me into the story more than I thought I would be at first. with the Assassin's Blade, I wasn't sure if this was going to be the series for me, but then she just grabs your attention and never lets go. It is so interesting. Also, as I've been saying, I love Dorian. She makes the characters so lovable. I still love Kale too, and I hate that everyone's fighting. In the first book, everyone's kind of getting to know each other. Obviously, Dorian's so flirty, and as I said, he reminds me of Kai Azar, who I absolutely love from Powerless. But in here, there's a little more tension because the secret gets revealed, and then the main character feels betrayed because of it. So everyone's kind of fighting, and I don't like it because I want all my characters to get along. But it also shows how impacted you are by all of the writing, that only in the second book, or technically third book in my reading order, I don't really count the Assassin's Blade as the first book because it has nothing to do with the main series. It's just a bunch of novellas that happened in the past. So I'm just gonna call this the second book. But for being only the second book, you still care so much about the characters, and you want the best for them, and you want them to make the good decisions, and you don't want anyone to get hurt, and you really, really care. And I think that is just a testament to how good the series is, that you really want everyone to like get along and be friends, and you have your enemies, and everyone that's enemies with your favorite character you're personally enemies with, and everything just feels so personal because they really feel like your friends in a fun but sad way. Like, it's just words on paper, but yet it feels like my friend Selena, and I don't want her to get hurt in this whole process. But towards the end, there's also something that happens that I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are you shipping her off to this new land? But then I think it'll blend nicely into Heir of Fire, and I'm assuming that's where Heir of Fire goes into. And then in the very last sentence, like on the last page, it really explains why that is a good idea, even though in your head you're like, no, don't do that. The very last sentence was Chaol sank to his knees, and that is just how I felt this entire time of like, oh my god, what is happening? But I'm really enjoying it so far, and I really recommend it to anyone who wants something a little new. Like, I don't even know what I would classify this as, because there are some fae characters, but that's not really that important or present yet. Like, we just found out that one of the characters is fae, and there was a little bit of a love story, but it's all closed door. It's all like fade to black, and it only lasted for like a few chapters, so it's not really romantasy. It's not really a fae romance, so I don't really know what I would call it yet. It's just like assassin, I guess, assassin fantasy, but it's really, really, really good, and I'm really having a good time, and I'm glad that I finally decided to pick this up because I've had the first 4 books for at least a year now, and obviously the series has been completed for a hot minute, and it's very, very popular, and I have just been slacking, and that's how I think I'm gonna feel about ACOTAR, because everyone and their mother is telling me to read ACOTAR and says it's so good, but yet I have had it for over 2 years now and still have not read it. So I'm gonna let it sit for the night. It's 6 p.m. I think I'm just gonna hang out. I don't think I'm gonna start Heir of Fire yet, just because I kind of want to let everything sit. I don't want to jump into the next book immediately. But that being said, I kind of want to know what happens, so I might. Usually I let my books settle. I don't start a book immediately after finishing a book, but I'm really invested now, so who knows. But I'm gonna eat some dinner. I have to make dinner, then eat some dinner, and we'll see where we go. But the next time you see me, obviously I will be starting it. I just don't know if that's today or tomorrow or the next day, so we will see. And it'll be our last book of the vlog. Can you believe we've already read 3 books? We are already 3 books into this series. That is insane to me. This is the fastest I've ever read through a series, so that is how insane this series is. Usually I'll read like 1 book, maybe 2 books max, and then read something else and then come back to it. I have so many unfinished series because of that, but this one's so good. It is so good. I'm gonna stop blabbing and go make dinner, and I'll talk to you guys later. I don't know why I just started my laundry when I knew I was gonna film this. That's my bad. Let me shut my door for a second. kitty are stuck with us for now. Let me catch you up on everything that's happened. I feel like one of those TV show intros, like what happened last week on Shameless, you know? But it's just the disaster that was February for me. February was a crazy month, so I found out that I had been approved to take my NCE exam, which is the state exam for therapists. So then I had to study my butt off for that exam for about 2 weeks, which they recommend you study for like 3 months. But I studied in 2 weeks and passed it. Thank God I passed it, so I don't have to take it again because it's a lot of money and you have to wait a minimum of a month in between tests. Anyway, then immediately after, we went on a ski trip with my dad, his girlfriend, and then her whole family. She is lovely, her family is lovely. We had a great time until I ate it on the snow hill and gave myself a concussion. I am normally a very good skier. I have never fallen in my life, but that whole weekend I kept jinxing myself because this was my boyfriend's first time skiing, and I kept telling him it's so easy, you'll have no problem, I've literally never fallen in my life, you're gonna be fine. Then I decided to get distracted. There were some other people coming down the hill and I was watching them and not paying attention to what I was doing. Dumb mistake on my end, but I end up falling and I full on smashed the back of my skull on the snow. Thankfully I was wearing a helmet. Wear your helmets, everybody, you never know what's gonna happen, whether it's on a bike, skis, whatever it may be, always wear a helmet. So thankfully I was okay, but I had a pretty severe concussion. I had to sit out of skiing for the rest of the trip, which I was really upset about. But then the second we got home from skiing, I got the stomach flu and I was having a miserable time. Couldn't keep any fluids down, not even water. And then since it was so close in time from the concussion, we just wanted to make sure that they weren't related. So I ended up going to urgent care, one because I was just in so much pain. When you get the stomach flu, sometimes you can get intense cramping in your abdomen, and that's what I had. I had intense pain the entire day, so I was really worried about what was going on and just the fact that I was going to be so dehydrated because I couldn't keep any fluids down and I kept throwing up every 30 minutes, like on the dot. Since vomiting is part of concussion protocol symptoms, we just wanted to make sure that my brain was okay, especially after spending so much money in grad school on my brain. Just wanted to make sure everything was good. I ended up going to urgent care, everything was okay, and then my stomach flu started to feel a little bit better after a few days. So that was my February. I only ended up reading 3 books total. I didn't finish any Throne of Glass books, so it's been a hot minute since I've talked to you guys. Ranger's coming to comfort me, or he just wants attention, which is probably the more likely. But we did start Air of Fire on the way to and back from the ski trip, which you did see. I included a few clips of us listening to it and then of the dogs in the car while they were sleeping. You're so handsome. We read part of Throne of Glass, and then yesterday I actually read a huge chunk of it. So we are about like halfway through Throne of Glass. I hate how stiff. I just cracked the spine of it. No, I didn't mean to crack the spine. I mean, what did I expect when I did that? That was my own fault. I did that trying to crack the pages, but I ended up cracking the spine. If you don't know, I'm part of the cracked spine haters, so I'm just trying to like get it. This book is so stiff compared to all the other books. The first 3 books were so floppy and nice, and this one's so stiff. Trying to make it like nicer. I can't believe I just cracked the spine. It's not even that noticeable. I need to stop freaking out. It's really not that noticeable. But we are 60% through the book. Since we started it on audiobook, I kind of just kept listening to the audiobook. So let me look. Yes, we are 67% through. Can you see that? I'm so sorry. Thankfully, I've been cataloging my thoughts in my notes app because my memory is just non-existent when it comes to books. I actually don't have that many notes, sadly. I was reading my book club book in between these books because me and my friends have a book club, and these are all of my anathema thoughts. I have so many versus my Throne of Glass thoughts are not as much, unfortunately. I am thankful though that I'm starting to lock in with this book because at first I didn't really care what was happening. There's so many changes and so many new characters in the first half of this book, and I didn't really care. I think it's also partly because I'm in a bit of a reading slump. I still have yet to have a 5-star read of 2026, which is really sad, but it does give me a good excuse to make one of those this video doesn't end until I find a 5-star read books, vlogs, reading vlogs, but I'm still so sad about this. That's so upsetting. It's my own fault, Rangy. It's my own fault. Oh, just let me hug you. Just let me hug you. You're kind of smelly. whatever. But now that we are past, see, and then whenever I stop petting him, he gets upset. But now that we are past the 50% mark, I am starting to enjoy it a little more. Things are starting to happen a little more. Hi. I just gave him a hug and he was growling at me, but now that I stopped, he wants me to pet him. If you have a Pyrenees, you understand. But here are some of my thoughts so far. So in the beginning of the book, I noted that it was such an interesting introduction to Manon. Her very first introduction into this book, she is fighting with somebody and they describe her iron teeth and her iron nails, and they become a big part about what happens in that scene. And I thought that was a very interesting way to introduce her as a character, considering it's kind of random. You're like, who is this girl? What's going on? They allude to the Blackbeaks in the other books briefly, but then this is the first book where you actually get Manon's story a little bit. It jumps between a bunch of different people, so I feel like there's like 4 different point of views, maybe 3. There's a couple different point of views in this book. At first I felt a little jagged, wasn't sure what the point of this was because I kept getting invested and then we would jump and I would be like, what's going on? Invested, jump, confused again, then I get invested and then I would jump. I feel like my brain is really bad about keeping up with different timelines in books. I briefly mentioned this in a previous vlog. In books that have 3 different timelines, it's really hard for my brain to kind of keep up and remember what's going on. Once you get me, I'm hooked. So then once you keep changing the point of views and changing the story, I kind of get disinterested. But as the book goes on, I feel like they're doing a better job of making the timelines longer, and then they'll flip it and then make it longer instead of short little chapters that keep jumping around. It feels more disorganized. But then I also said I can't tell if Rowan or Selena's family is good. So in the beginning you get introduced to Rowan and you kind of figure out that they're like distant relatives, I believe. But then furthermore in the book, I'm now questioning if they're related or not, because it feels like they're flirting a little bit. But then in the beginning of the book, I thought they mentioned that they're related, but now I'm second guessing that. Maybe I just misheard that. I'm not sure. Hopefully they're not related, because I'm not sure who Rowan's love interest is gonna be in this series. I feel like I'm picking up on some flirting, but I'm not really sure who he's interested in, so we will see. I don't really know what's going on with him. He's still being a bit cagey. And then I also mentioned that Manon's wyvern is hilarious and is such a diva. So Manon gets a wyvern at some point. It's kind of described like a horse with wings, kind of like a Pegasus, but more dragon-like is what I'm picturing. I don't really know what the lore accurate description is. I also don't know if it's a girl or a boy, so I'm just gonna say he, because I'm not really sure. But her little like wyvern is such a diva and so hilarious and will not do whatever he does not want to do, and I think it's so funny. And then my last comment is I don't know how to feel about Rowan right now, because he's mean. Like sometimes he is mean, and I'm sure that he has like a dark past. I don't know. I'm sure he has a lot going on. I'm sure he's got a lot of his own lore that makes him mysterious. We will see where that goes from there. I think I know who he ends up with, but right now it's kind of up in the air. Thank you. So we're going to continue Heir of Fire and kind of see what they get up to. I'm not really sure. Hoping I can finish this today, and this will be the end of reading half of Throne of Glass. I can't believe I will be halfway through Throne of Glass. I can't believe this reading vlog will be over. It's been 2 months in the making, so we will see. And I'm actually really curious to see how this one ends, because I've heard from a lot of people that this is the book that gets them hooked into the series as a whole, and then the next book is a lot of people's favorite book of the series. So I'm excited to continue it, but I think I might take a little break because I have been reading a lot of fantasy. Even in between this series, I read Anathema, which is our book club book. So it's been a lot of fantasy, and I really just want to read like a funny, quirky romance book. So we might take a little break before I start reading the rest of the series. And then my boyfriend, quick update on him. He is currently on Kingdom of Ash and he's already cried. So I'm honestly really nervous about where the series goes from this, but he did love Queen of Shadows and he loved the tandem read. He didn't do the tandem read because he listens to the audiobooks, but he did love both of the books in the tandem read. I think he gave all 3 of those books 4.5 stars. I'm assuming he'll give the last one 5 stars, but he's been loving the books, so I'm really excited to continue it when we do decide that we are ready for part 2. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and we will get back into this book. I'm excited to see where it goes from there. And I also just noticed that there's a bird, and that's Mr. Rowan. Rowan is a fae that can shift, and he is a bird. He's an eagle, I think. No, a hawk. He's a hawk. So this is, I'm assuming, Rowan. I also love, oh, and I'm assuming this is the wyvern guy. Is this the wyvern? People who are into the lore, please tell me. Because I love the art on all of these books, and I was just looking at it and I realized that that is probably the 2 characters. So cute! All right, let's read this book. Look at me and my baby boy. He's just chilling. He's such a snuggler.
Chapter 43.
Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. If you know, you know. It's the get up for me. It really is the get up. She's so mean to herself. Eat a kitty. Eat a kitty. Mwah. Hell yeah. Baby Aelin. How do we do it now? Is that how people do it now? I still do this. My fingers can't do this. Or is it? I just want to give baby Aelin a hug. She didn't deserve that. I keep discovering new games on my iPad. That's what I do when I listen to audiobooks. Amongst other things. I've been doing so much laundry. I need to get back into sewing though. I've been taking a break from my sewing, but I need to get back into it. Rowan? Rowan's simping right now. He's simping a little. Ow, you have claws. This air of fire. Way to name drop. Claim. How does claiming people work? Huh. What does it mean to claim someone? She's getting a tattoo? I like that. I'm learning that Dorian's dad is the worst. Oh, hello. Kitty, no. I'm really sick of Dorian's dad. He's being the worst. Ooh, that's a good bar. Oh no, poor guy. Poor guy. Ugh. Poor Dorian. Oh, this king sucks. Dorian. Dorian, it's not your fault. To your own son, to your own child. This man is the worst. Good boy. Good. I love you. Give me 20 minutes. 20 minutes? Okay. We finished! We finished it! Bow, 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 bow. We've done it. We've officially read all 4 books of the Throne of Glass series. I'm so excited, but I did forget to film my last few thoughts of Heir of Fire, so I'm just gonna take a few moments to say my rating and my final thoughts, and then we're gonna go through all of them. Should I just go through all of them first and then get to Heir of Fire? Let's do that. You've heard about my thoughts of these, so I'll just rapid go through my final ratings. The Assassin's Blade, I gave a 3.5. Throne of Glass, I gave a 4.5. And then Crown of Midnight, I gave a 4. So then circling back to Heir of Fire, I also gave Heir of Fire a 4-star. I really enjoyed this book and I loved getting introduced to all these new characters, but I felt like sometimes I was struggling to keep up. I know this might be a controversial take because I was discussing it with my boyfriend and he felt the opposite way, but I really didn't enjoy the Manon scenes as much just because I was so invested in what Selena and Rowan were doing that when it changed to a different perspective, because I believe I said this earlier, but there's 3 different storylines. So there's one storyline that's whatever Rowan and Selena are up to, and then the second storyline is what Dorian's up to, and then the third storyline is what Manon and the Blackbeak clan is doing. We get 3 different kind of adventures of what's going on, and I was really invested in the Rowan and Selena one because he's teaching her how to fight and like use different things that I don't want to say because it spoils what happens in Throne of Glass, but he's teaching her these new skills, and it was really interesting to see that. I think that's just something that I really enjoy in fantasy books, is that element, so I was obviously more obsessed with that one. And then when it would go to Dorian, I was still invested because I really like Dorian, but then we get introduced to Manon for the first time in this book, and I just don't know enough about her to really care about her storyline yet. So that was the one like hang up I had with this book, is that I would be so invested and then it would go to the next chapter and we're learning about Manon and I'm just like, I don't really care. But on the opposite end, my boyfriend, when he read this book, he said that he actually really loved Manon's point of view. So I feel like it's just personal preference at that point. I think I'm just someone who struggles with the 3 different storylines, because I've said that before when I read Wayward and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Those are 2 books that both have 3 different storylines, and I just get so invested in whatever storyline we're currently in that when it switches, I'm like, what is going on? So I really enjoyed this series. It's such a good series. I'm gonna grab the other books. As a whole, I really enjoy this series and I am very excited to continue. I do think, however, I'm going to take a pause. Initially, I said maybe like a month pause. I think it might be like a few months just so that I can get in all my other books that I want to read this year, because this does take up a lot of time. But as I'm filming this intro, we've also gotten an ACOTAR update. She is coming out with ACOTAR 6 this year, so I really have to get on my Sarah J Maas grind because I have to finish this series, finish ACOTAR, finish Crescent City, and then I can finally read ACOTAR 6. But as I said earlier, I am very excited to start Crescent City, so that'll be my reward after it. It is a very good series. I don't think it's a 5-star series for me personally, at least not yet. Like, we're only halfway through. That could definitely change as time goes on. So far, it is a 4-star series for me. I do enjoy it, but there are series that I like more. So hopefully that changes as time goes on and we learn more about, this one's like falling over, and we learn more about the characters, because I've heard that everyone's favorite book is the next book in the series, which is Queen of Shadows. So my opinion might change literally in the next book. But so far, I enjoyed reading these. I enjoyed documenting the process, and I'm really excited to continue. That being said, I want to thank you so much. We just hit 1,000 subscribers, and that has been like my dream. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I've been watching YouTube and obsessed with YouTube since I was 15 in high school, and the fact that we finally hit 1,000 subscribers is so amazing and so exciting. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's ever subscribed or watched a video. I want to say thank you if you're watching this right now. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you for any of the views, any of the likes. If you're subscribed, I just want to say thank you, and I'm really excited to build this community more throughout this year. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We are this little baby community of readers, but I'm really enjoying the process and having you all with me. So if you like reading content, I do reading vlogs, I do TBR videos, I do wrap-ups. I'm hoping to do a little more this year, be a little more creative, but my #1 thing I like to do is reading vlogs. So if you love reading vlogs or any other book content, please consider subscribing. Thank you guys again for everything, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.